What up, what up, what up? Agent O here, and I've got another action figure review. And today I have the Amazing Yamaguchi Spider-Gwen figure by Revoltech. Or I should say powered by Revoltech, whatever that means. It's a Revoltech figure. This is the box it comes in. Yay, a box. It's cardboard. It's got stuff on it. Looks comic booky and street style. Anyway, let's get this open and get to the review, because who cares about a box? And this is the figure. It's a great design. Great comic book character, a costume design, which is why everybody likes this character anyway, because I'm telling you, if it wasn't for this design, I'm pretty sure Spider-Gwen would not be as popular as she is. But they did a good job in recreating the design in action figure form. This is by far the best posable action figure of Spider-Gwen that I've seen. It blows the Marvel Legends one out of the water, just in terms of sculpt and once again, in all the different kinds of poses you're able to pull off with this figure. I do like the pearlescent white finish that they've given this figure. I don't know if my camera can pick it up or not, but if you look real closely, if you ever get this figure in hand, which I recommend you do, so I'm already kind of telling you my verdict of this action figure. But if you buy one, and you'll see, or better yet, if you bought the Power Rangers, the Figure Arts Power Rangers, the White Ranger figure, it kind of has a similar finish to this, where it's got this, it's not just a gloss, it's like a pearlescent gloss kind of deal, and it looks pretty good, and it just adds a little extra oomph to the rest of the figure, because it's, I mean, she's a colorful, vibrant, you know, it's a vibrant colored figure with I guess the hot pink, I guess this is, and you know, with her blue-green Crocs. You know, these colors I feel like shouldn't work together, but they do, and it does give a different look to this figure overall. But you know, the webbing is sculpted in both on the arms and in the hood, and you know, there's no paint slop at all. I actually do like how you've got two different color Revoltech joints to kind of help with the illusion, to blend in the joints with the rest of the costume better. That's a really, really nice touch. I dig that very, very much, because they could have easily just went with white Revoltech joints, and they didn't. So that's kudos to them for pulling that off. I do like the eyes on the mask, how they kind of fade away. You see the outline of the eye, but then it kind of fades off. The colors kind of fade and get a little blurry as it gets further away from the eye holes, just like in the comics. Other than that, you know, it's a good black. It's not too dark. It's not a deep dark black, but it's a good black. I don't know. I mean, it's black. What else can I really say about that color on this figure? But it's representative of how she looks in the comic books, and this is one of the reasons why I bought this figure, because I do like the design. I think the character's overrated, but I do like the design, and I do like these Revoltech figures, because I feel like if you have a Spider-Man or a Spider Person figure, they should be very posable. You should be able to do everything, all the crazy cool, super exaggerated poses that you've seen all the different Spider characters get into. So here's hopefully someday getting a Miles Morales figure, because I need that in my life. I need a Amazing Yamaguchi Miles Morales Spider-Man figure, Ultimate Spider-Man figure. But you know, they definitely did a good job of giving her a athletic body, and even though there's a lot of pieces that make up this figure, they still kind of did a good job with making her look like a woman and not look anorexic like some of the other Marvel Legend female figures. They really need to rework their female figures. Hasbro does. But Anyway, that's really all I can say about the aesthetics of this toy. Let's get into the posability, because that's what we're here for. This is why you buy an Amazing Yamaguchi figures, to see the crazy range of motion that these toys have. And just starting off with the head, it's the top of the head where connection to the neck is on, Revoltech ball joint, or ball peg, I'm sorry. And you can actually, the head moves independent of the hood. They're not connected to each other completely, so that's a really nice touch. And you can look left all the way, and you can look right all the way pretty nicely. She looks up pretty far. The hood gets in the way, so you can't go all the way up, but if you move the head itself, then she can move up, she looks up further, and that's pretty nice. That's really far up. Expose all that neck there. She's got a long neck to cover all that up, and she doesn't really look down with the head, but that's why you have the base of the neck going into the upper torso, and it's articulated as well, so you can use that to help her look down, and she looks down really far, as you can see. Her shoulders, I do like the changes they made to the shoulders, because the shoulders on the Deadpool just were so blatant, and it almost turned me off to getting that figure. It wasn't until it finally came out that I was like, yeah, I think I'll get this figure. They did a better job with sculpting the arms to kind of cover up a lot of that, a lot of the ball joint, to some degree. You still can only raise her arms up this high. Like, she's got less range of motion. Like, it's harder to cross her arms. Like, you could cross her arms pretty easily with the Deadpool figure. With this one, it's not as easy. It's not as you don't have as much range of motion, but it's still pretty decent. And they can swivel back as well. And if you finagle the arms a little bit, when you rotate the shoulder, she can raise her arms even higher. It's just when you rotate them, it's just when you lift them straight up like that, you don't get as high as a lift. But it's all there because it's a double ball joint, and double ball peg joint, I should say. So you do have the range of motion, and it does help a lot. And she doesn't have a bicep swivel, but you can rotate her arm, the whole arm, and it kind of takes the place of the bicep swivel. So there's no issue there with that. And she has since it's a double jointed Revoltech joint, she can bend her arms that high, because there's her sculpt, it allows there to be nothing obstructing the movement of the arm. And she also has range of motion with the hands. As you can see, they bend almost 90 degrees, and they rotate all the way around because they're ball swivels. They're on ball swivels. She also has a diaphragm joint, which has pretty good rotation. She goes forward about that much, and as you can see in the back, there is gappage. You can actually see the ball joint, the ball peg. Oops, and it popped out. But yeah, that's how it works. But you can just pop it back in, and you're good to go. And she doesn't bend back all that far, but that's why you have all this range of motion in the hip swivel. So she can bend back about that far. She bends forward. Whoops. She bends forward about that far. It's not too bad. It's okay. Now the legs are designed in a way they're engineered in a way I've never really seen before. They're kind of awkward at first, and they take a little getting used to. But once I figured out what the default position is for the legs, because they kind of are like half, the hips are like half her I guess, butt cheeks and half the upper part of her thighs. So once you figure out where the default position is, you can get it back. But they're probably just on ball pegs, as everything else is, and you can't really get a full, I guess it's a Chinese split. This is just as far as you go initially, but when you rotate the hips a bit more, you get more of a split. You actually can get, and then with since the thigh swivel is not like a true thigh swivel, it doesn't rotate around, it just kind of swings like back and forth, like left and right, and in doing so you can increase the split, so you can get a full split. It's just gonna look a little awkward, especially from like that angle. Like that's when you see like how it's kind of the way they've set up the articulation is kind of weird, but from the front it doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look too weird. It's just the way they work the figure, I guess. The way they've worked it to articulate, and it's so you can get those crazy, spider poses where the leg is, it's almost like a yoga pose. The legs are all over the place, and I'm just posing really quick, but you can get these crazy poses where she's swinging and her legs are bent and all every which way, and that's not a good example. I have better examples, but you get the general idea, and that's kind of why they did it the way they did it. It's kind of ingenious because it's something you wouldn't expect, but it does work. If you take the pictures from the right angles and you pose it the right way, you'll pull off the look that you're going for. She does have ratcheted, as you could probably hear, they're ratcheted joints, knee joints, and she gets that much of a bend out of them, which is really nice. Her feet, Revoltech joints, so they point pretty far. They don't come in as much. They don't come in at hardly at all. You can't go up a whole lot, but you do have ankle rockage since they're on a peg. You get really good rotation with that, and of course toe point. You can even point her toes forward if you want to, but you don't have to. But yeah, really good toe point. So I mean, she has a lot of freedom for posability, especially since the sculpt is just her in a bodysuit. There's nothing to get in the way of the pose and nothing limiting her. And I think even if there was, they'd find a way around it anyway, because they're actually pretty good. They found a way around all of Deadpool's pouches and stuff, so I think if they had to, they could do it with any other figure, I feel. And I mean, this is, if you like to pose your figures and not just leave them in a static standing pose like this, not leave it in a standard standing pose, because these figures beg to be posed. You have to like play around with them and put them in multiple poses. You don't buy these kinds of figures to put them in one pose and then just leave them on your shelf. You're gonna be constantly wanting to come back and try out different stuff, because that's what these figures are for. So if you're like me and that's what you're into, I would definitely recommend this figure, especially since she comes with a decent amount of accessories as well. So I'm going to get to that right now. I'm going to start off with her web accessories. She comes with 3 different web accessories, 3 different types of webbing, in different, different shapes. She has the web shooter piece that pegs into the web shooting hands, and it's similar to the one, it's probably exactly the one that the Spider-Man one came with. So she has that. Then she has these other two pieces, which look pretty good. It's they're clear plastic, but they painted it with this like porous off-white color, and it really gives it, really makes the sculpt itself look really, really good. And you can see all the little curves and angles and divots and stuff in the webbing, and I think they both look really, really nice. She comes with different heads. She has 4 heads total. The different masked heads have different expressions, as you can see. She's got a WTF expression, and she's got an angrier, eyes narrowed expression. Both look really, really good. The unmasked head, it works when you're looking at it from the front, but when you turn to the side, like especially like when you put it in, I'll just do that really fast. Like, to me, this is the weakest head out of the bunch, because her head looks a little too small for her body, and it shows how long her neck is. So I've always, like, when I took pictures, I had to like tilt her head forward and whatnot to try and cover up some of the neck so it didn't look so off. But it looks like she's wearing a Gwen Stacy mask instead of it being Gwen Stacy unmasked, if that makes sense. And when you turn her to the side, her face just looks a little too flat, like it's missing the dimension that the masked head has. When you turn to the side, you can see her profile. You can see the profile a lot more, and it looks a lot better. Her face looks fuller. If they had did that, it would have went a long way to making this unmasked head look more convincing. It still kind of worked for the stuff I did with it, but it's easily the weakest one, and it's probably the one I'm going to be using the least out of all the heads, out of the other three heads that she comes with. Definitely going to be using the masked heads more than that one. But she also has different hands. She has her thwippy hands, and I'll have pictures of those because they're sculpted really nice. So here's one of them, and you can see the peg hole on the inside, or on the inside just under the fingers for the web effect pieces. And you know, it's a good sculpt overall, nothing to, and it has the same pearlescent finish on them. She has a special holding hand for her cell phone. It's this one right here. And then her cell phone accessory, it's this little jobber right here too. And it's kind of hard. It was kind of hard getting it to fit in her hand properly. Like, I'm not going to do it on camera because it's difficult, but especially when you got a camera in front of you. Oh, I just did it. But it doesn't fit. It fits in there, but it's not snug and secure. Like it does have the potential to pop out, but you can get it to fit, and it does work. I mean, it's nice. It's got detail on it, and you can see like she's calling her dad. You know, it's probably based off of an iPhone or something, but it looks good, and you know, I've got no complaints there. Just be careful, because you will probably, if it drops, you'll probably lose it to the carpet. Because I've almost lost it a couple times. She also has this magnetic piece that pegs into her back, just similar to the Spider-Man. You know, if you saw the Revoltech Spider-Man review, then this is the same thing. I don't have anything magnetic to put it on, but at the moment, but it does work. And so, you know, overall, this is a solid figure. I would definitely recommend, if you're into playing with your action figures and posing them and doing little scenarios, or, you know, taking photography shots of your figures doing stuff, or doing like a meme or anything, or you got dioramas, you want to do the put your superheroes fighting crime or doing whatever. This figure definitely will work for all of that. It looks good. It's sculpted really nicely. It's very, very posable. It's what I wish. I really hope they do more Spider-Man figures. Like I said, I want a Miles Morales Spider-Man. I wouldn't even mind a Scarlet Spider. I'd be down for that. Either the new one in the red and black costume, or the old school 90s Scarlet Spider. I'd be cool with that too. Ben Reilly Spider-Man I'd be down for. Like just do Spider-Verse. Do a Spider-Verse line. I'd be all for that. Just because I feel like this action figure line is great for those figures, because like I said, you have to have a Spider-Man figure that can do any pose that Spider-Man does in the comics, and these definitely will fit the bill. But that's pretty much it. Leave your comments, leave your constructive criticisms, your congratulations, and any questions you might have in the comment section. And like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will catch you guys on the next action figure review. I'm Agent O, and I'm out. Peace.